Alright, let's start with the Crowbar here. Crowbar and dualies. So the Crowbar is a pretty interesting weapon. Actually, all of these weapons are super interesting. This weapon has a really high sort of set of base stats, and then if we go to its masteries, what you'll see about the Crowbar is that it has a bunch of talents that give you more stats when you have certain things requirements met. So we get 60% extra strength on our first attack, or we get extra strength on specialist kill, or we get 60% weak spot for 3 seconds on pushing enemies, that sort of stuff. So here's all the nodes for you. I think these are some of the best ones right here. But the real thing about the Crowbar is that we have 2 modes for it. The weapon specials on these classes, or these weapons, are actually pretty freaking good. So we've got lots of sweeping strikes and high stagger. This class overall does not have very much stagger. So having a staggering weapon is pretty good. As you can see, not the most damage in the world, but we also don't have any buffs right now. My talent tree is completely empty. So we'll get that powered up, don't you worry. But on single targets like this, it would take quite a while. But that's when you press the weapon special and you turn it into this mode, where we can like rip these enemies' heads wide open. This thing penetrates armor like very well. And yeah, it just sticks in. Even light attacks will get that rip. And it's very nice. It does very solid single target damage, does good damage against things like crushers, just rips them open, no problem. And remember, again, this was with no buffs active and nothing in my tree. So when you actually spec into melee for this, you do crazy damage with this thing. So very solid weapon, really, really easy to use and understand when to use what modes. My next weapon here is the shivs. Unfortunately, there is not like individual hand dual wielding. I was really hoping that they would like, you know, you could put like an axe in one, a dagger in the other, but you know, maybe they'll get there eventually. But we've got these dual daggers. This is my preferred mark of the 2. There are 2 marks, but this one has this overhead slam down. That's pretty dang good. Followed up by this little twin thrust, which is very cool looking. I've had a lot of fun doing that. Notably also, this weapon has movement speed tech, where if you throw it out and then you slide afterwards, you will like scoot across the arena. So it's very, very good for being fast. I don't know what I just did to my freaking stamina bar down there. Hold on, let's fix that. Video interface, stamina bar. I thought it would make it like smooth, like it is in my normal thing. Where is it? Stamina bar? Stamina bar? I know it's here. There it is. Okay, that's better. All right, so that's that. You can do that. You can do like little light attacks. Pretty cool, right? But the really cool thing about this weapon is that the weapon special on it is a throwing knife, and the throwing knife applies toxin. So this weapon actually is like it's the first melee weapon I think that has a range attack built in, and toxin is a very good effect. Like 3 stacks of toxin like that, or 3 daggers worth of toxin like that, does this sort of damage to a crusher. Because this toxin effect has a very high damage effectiveness versus armor. It does not really care about armor at all. And you see that my daggers down there in the bottom right, my dagger count is at 0. You can get these kills back either by getting a kill on an elite, or you can get any backstab kill. We'll give you a dagger back if I could get the backstab kill. So those are 2 ways you can get those daggers back. Pretty solid, honestly. Really amazing for just like, oh, I don't want to pull out my range weapon and go to town on somebody. I can just throw a single dagger at them and they're done. Like, you can just know that they're dead. Any specialist or anything is going to die in 1 dagger. So pretty freaking good. The difference between toxin and other effects is that toxin has a lower cap for the damage that it does per tick or per application, but it cuts through armor better, basically. All right, so that's pretty much everything. Oh, we got to show the masteries here. Here's the thing about daggers, guys. We've got very normal dagger-based stuff like Flesh Terror. Really good with this class because you get lots of crits. We've also got Lacerate, Executor, Riposte, Precognition, Haymaker, Mercy Killer, and Ruthless Backstab. So pretty much the exact same stuff as we have on the normal dagger. Thank you, Cameron and Worf and Rejuvie for those Prime subs. And then we have Uncanny Strike. But those of you who are like, you know, game knowers can immediately see something is up about this Uncanny Strike. right? This Uncanny Strike is nerfed Uncanny Strike, but it's not nerfed across all weapons in the class. So when I go here to the Combat Blade, the regular Uncanny Strike is still the same. So what does that make me think? It makes me think that this class, or at least this weapon, is like a testing ground for it, right? So we are gonna like potentially phase that in. That's the only thing I could think. When I saw this, I was like, because this is the first weapon you spawn in with, I was like, oh my god, did they nerf it when they didn't say anything about it? And then I ran over to buy a Combat Blade and it was not nerfed there. So I think that maybe that they're experimenting with this to see how it goes. But ultimately, like, the rending for this weapon doesn't really matter because your rending on the toxin damage doesn't do anything. So yeah, we can still just go in hard with the regular attacks and not have to worry about rending. Okay, and let's go on to the saw. This one is really cool, the bone saw. So bone saw has lots of very interesting masteries here. This is a cool weapon. I haven't really mastered it yet. It is a difficult weapon to use, but we've got things like cleave. We've got Shred on here, Decimator, Shock and Awe, and then Refined Lethality. This is a new, what do you call it? This is a new blessing just for this weapon. So increase weak spot damage by 60% against enemies inflicted with Chem Toxin. So this thing hits hard once you have enemies primed with Chem Toxin to just nail them. And we've got Limb Splitter over here, so you could like stack these two and just absolutely decimate something. We've also got Decapitator if you're doing one-shots, or Relentless Strikes. And you see what I went with here on my weapon is I went with Relentless Strikes and this, and Shred, which is allowing me to build that damage when I'm hitting the same target over and over. But the really cool thing about this weapon is, remember that talent said, or that blessing said, that you need to have toxin stacks on an enemy to get that effect? Well, it passively applies toxin, as you can see by the, the purple stuff on the blade. Now, this toxin is a little bit different than the normal toxin that the class has. It does better damage against light targets than it does versus armored targets. So like a crusher like this, he's not going to take very much from this version of toxin at all, as compared to the toxin that was on the daggers, which is much more potent. So it's not very good against armor, unless you change your flavor. And the purple is a brittleness, and this is a unique brittleness, guys. So if you have another character on your team that can apply a brittleness effect, this will stack with that, and now I can actually hurt this guy like really, really bad. I can cut right through his armor. So it's a damage amp that works on all targets, and it can stack with other brittleness effects from other classes. So this weapon is very, very versatile in that regard. You can go between one and the other, and therefore now when I stack my my corrosive here, if I hit him with both, I can get those corrosive stacks a little bit higher. But really the setup here is like, yeah, you want to go in purple on armored enemies with the lean mode, and then you go for this with these sort of targets. Now, this is going to have amazing synergy with this class in general, because there's a lot of talents that really want you to have enemies toxed up, and you can save yourself talent points by using a weapon that toxes them for you. Okay, let's put some talents in really quickly. Don't look at what they are, guys. Shh, don't look, don't look. We'll come back to that in a second. I just need some talents. And then we're just going to go to there. All right, let's talk about range weapons. Let's start with where is it? My Needler. Okay, so Needler, very unique weapon, very crazy weapon. This thing here is maybe the weirdest weapon in all of Darktide. Check it out. We don't have almost any blessings on here that are about like damage. See, we've got like kills on elites, strip down is really good here, run and gun, hot shot, ghost, point blank, concentrated fire, desperado. Like almost none of these are actually damage perks, because this weapon doesn't care about direct damage. See, does almost no direct damage, but the toxin it applies is super, super potent. Like we can take out a target in just a couple of needles, even a crusher. I think it takes like a 4 or something like that. Just a couple of needles, and then we watch him die. And it does matter to hit heads. Like hitting heads will make the toxin that you apply do way more damage. So yeah, this thing is like a one-shot delete anything button. You just put it on a target and then you walk away. The problems with it is that target does still have to die. Like they have to take the time to die, and then it doesn't have It doesn't have the best reload speed in the world, and also the ammo capacity is kind of low. This weapon doesn't have the best synergy with the actual Desperado talent I'm about to show off, but it is probably one of the better sidearms for just general users because it can pick any target, like any specialist dies in a single bullet hit, basically. So really kind of crazy weapon. Now, the other thing about it is this one actually has multiple marks. I believe this is the one. Let's actually see. One of these is staggers, but this one, by a weapon special to swap. I forgot to show the weapon special for the... oh, no, I showed it for the other ones, right? So the weapon special here is when I infect this guy, it spreads the remaining toxin to nearby enemies. It's kind of bad to kill hordes, so it's balanced. Except for this. So this weapon can actually be used to clear hordes quite effectively when you switch to the blue mode, or you can stay in the primary mode, and this is more for like armor killing. So like, look, the blue stacks do way less against the Crusher than the green stacks do. But if you put it on green mode, like you'll melt him. So single target versus spread AoE fire. So really cool weapon. Like I said, guys, the weapon design here, the weapon specials went hard with this update. Let's talk about the Uzis here. The Uzis are the only weapon that got introduced with this class that don't have a cool weapon special. It's literally just this. Blah, whatever. But we do have some pretty cool stuff here with the masteries. As you might imagine, for weapons that you just fire, 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 we get things like Blaze Away, which is obviously freaking good because you're just going to spend a ton of magazines. Speed Load, which might be pretty good. Inspiring Barrage, amazing on this class. Really hard to get your toughness on this class, by the way. And Pinning Fire, these weapons have very good stagger potential. So Pinning Fire is strong here. Blaze Away is strong here. These weapons do like this. And so, of course, you can go gangster style as well. I think I showcased this already. And yeah, it's just a really solid weapon, has really good DPS output, and really the more important thing about this weapon is that stagger potential is really, really high. So you can actually keep enemies off of you, and this weapon can regenerate your toughness for you if you're choosing the talents that allow you to do it. But fun little weapon, lots of DPS. It does lack damage into armor. Obviously, I think was probably to be expected, right? But it does some pretty solid damage against just about anything else. If you can get some uninterrupted shots, you'll be great. But of course, the downside is you're going to shred through your ammo unless you utilize Desperado, which highlights all enemies around you in this blue color. And when you are in Desperado, you do not cost any ammo to reload. I think everyone knows about this right now by this point. Yeah, it's free reloads during the duration. Every time you kill an enemy in Desperado, you'll add another second to your cooldown, or to your timer, and it can last for up to, I want to say it's 10 seconds base, and you can refill that by 1 second every time you get a close range kill. So just spraying into hordes and stuff is going to give you a bunch of cooldown back and allow you to stay in that mode longer. And of course, when you're in that mode, you are also dodging all range attacks. So you can just like run up on enemies' faces and shoot them point blank, and they can't do anything about you unless they're a melee enemy. So really helps with this class, which would otherwise just burn through all of its ammo. Let's go to my favorite weapon. This is my favorite new weapon, the dualies. I mean, these things are cool. These things are freaking sick. They do this, of course. Pretty solid damage, not gonna lie. I think you actually do want to aim for the head with this one. And you can also go gangster mode here for a little more accuracy. So you see that like these weapons have more consistent damage than the Uzis do, and I'm using less ammo. Of course, I can go like this, and then I can consume no ammo. But they don't have, they have a little bit better accuracy as well at range. But if you want to really have good accuracy, you can do this. And if I actually had my reticle on, I could actually show that because I turned it off for a thing. Where's my reticle? So I can see where I'm freaking aiming. There we go. So this makes your crosshair get very small, and then you can snipe with them, which makes a ton of sense, right? It's just really cool. But yeah, these weapons can be used to snipe, and they can be used to just kind of blast. And they are very, very fast to reload, because the downside of the Uzis is that the reload speed is super slow. So you need to spend some time actually reloading. And when you're using your Desperado ability, you want to reload fast so that you can get as many reloads as possible and steal as much ammo from the economy as possible. And just keep popping dudes with your little weapon special. Oh, by the way, that's a quick time event. So this, if I just don't do anything, it resets. You actually have to click the thing again when it's as small as you need it to be and aim at their head at the same time. So pretty free. I love this mechanic. I saw Reginald doing it and I was like, what are you doing? How are you doing that? He's like, oh, it's a weapon special. I didn't expect it would have a weapon special like that, but really awesome. Okay. So that's all the new weapons. Oh, and by the way, the masteries for those dualies there. We have, the dualies have some really good masteries here. We've got hit and run, close range kill, which you're going to have that plenty anyway. We've got Crucian Roulettes, which is tons of crit. Desperado, tons of crit. Sustained fire, extra damage. Born in Blood, which is extra toughness. Again, this sort of stuff is going to be really good, guys, because it's hard to get your toughness back with this class. Pinning Fire, again, for that strength. Speed Load for reload speed. And Powder Burn against suppressed enemies. So, nice little talents there. And then here's your other weapons in the class. We've got Double Barrel Shotgun, Quick Draw Stub Revolver. Think about this, right? The Quick Draw Stub Revolver, going to be very good in this class because, of course, this model, the Fan the Hammer one, if you fire all of it, you again can activate Desperado and get reloads for free. So, like, that's one of the major downsides of this class normally, is that, or this weapon usually, is that you just run out of ammo with it. But now we can just get free reloads and spend a bunch of ammo just shooting. And when you activate Desperado, it also reloads for free as well. So what you want to do when you have Desperado is you want to spend all of your ammo and then press the button to get it all back up. Okay, so that's all the range weapons. Oh, you saw those, right? Vigilant Autogun, Combat Shotgun, Infantry Autogun, Braced Autogun is really good with this class. You'll see why when we go to the talents. Bolt Pistol, Shredder Autopistol. This is guys, the Shredder's back, all right? The Shredder is peak. I'll make a build with it and I'll show you guys today because Shredder is like really freaking good right now, at least with this class, which is an interesting choice, right? It's making the Shredder like OP, but just for this class, it's OP, which is kind of an interesting choice. For melee weapons, we've got the Shivs, the Tack Axe, the Combat Axe, the Devil's Claw, the Crowbar, the Heavy Sword, the Assault Chain Sword, Assault Chain Axe, Bone Saw, and Combat Blade. In my experience, Tack Axe, Combat Blade, and like these assault weapons, like they actually go pretty freaking hard. I imagine the Combat Axe does too. I just haven't got too much time to test them just yet. So there we go. That's all the weapons. And thank you very much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed what you saw here and you want to see more Dark Tide content. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.